In April, two chefs traded retirement for an outback adventure their friends called crazy.
There were lots of wallabies, and we saw our first brolga marching along the road that way, and the cattle. It's a good introduction to outback life.
Brisbane couple Anita and Jens Stefan drove nearly 2,000 kilometres north to take up the cook's job on a cattle station in Queensland's Gulf country. At just under 500,000 hectares, Abingdon Downs is one of the larger developed stations in the Gulf, running 16,000 Brahmins. The Stephans' job was to feed station owners Campbell Keogh and Anita Ganser, 10 staff, visiting contractors, the workers' children and governesses. And they had to get it right.
Cooks is probably the most important role on the property at times. You've got to have that good tucker to keep your staff up and running and keep them happy.
Anita and Jens ran their own restaurants, catering companies and a butchery in Scotland, Germany and the US before moving to Australia a decade ago. To these suburban new Australians, being in the far north of Queensland was like being in another country. Different climate, customs and taste buds.
We really wanted to go to a remote area and a rural area, and 50 years ago in Scotland, we lived in a very rural area, and so we thought we'd try it the other side of the world.
The hours are long here, 4 in the morning till 8 at night, 5 days a week. They cook breakfast, morning and afternoon smoko, lunch and dinner. As well, they prepare the tucker for the ringers, who work away for weeks at a time at the station's 2 mustering camps. The Stephans' brief? Nourishing, wholesome food and lots of it.
They really want a steak and onion gravy once a week, and they love shepherd's pie, and then roasts, of course. Those are the most popular of them all.
The biggest surprise for staff was fresh bread every day.
Nita happened to mention to me that she makes her own sourdough and ciabatta bread, and I love ciabatta bread and sourdough. I mentioned it in passing that I like it, and the next day came down about 3 loaves of bread this big.
Look at those beans. Look, they're in flour already.
With the nearest big town, Atherton, 4 hours drive away, fresh veggies were not easy to get. So Jens and Anita spent a lot of time in the vegetable garden.
Well, everything that we grew, the beautiful beans and peas and courgettes and pumpkins that are coming on. So because we're restricted in the amount of vegetables and especially herbs, it was very useful to be able to grow our own. That's us.
Smoko is a ritual on stations. German-born Jens didn't know what it was. Once they'd worked out it was morning and afternoon tea, their chefing skills came to the fore. Their smoko spreads became legendary. A big hit was a lemon cake with an outback touch, rum drizzle. Jens's elegant fruit platters increased fruit consumption. Before, whole fruit was laid out, but little was eaten. Now it all goes. Anita Ganser was surprised by the chef's attention to detail.
I'd be mesmerised watching Jens when he'd plate up the salad, the meat platter for lunch, and every slice had to be that far apart from each other or lay it over, and if it wasn't, he'd adjust it and, you know, painstakingly.
Having fine dining chefs on station wasn't without its hiccups though. It took the chefs a while to adjust to their customers' palates.
I made mashed potatoes and peas and put mint in it, and I was told the following morning that they wouldn't eat it. Well, it was a learning curve, I tell you. But yes, I was disappointed, but then we've learned, and they have learned as well, we've come together.
I think they were surprised how plain. Meat and 3 veg, Holbrook sauce, salt and pepper. From that to...
Food names I don't even know.
Big hits, chocolate mousse, pies and sausage rolls with homemade pastry, English muffins, enchiladas, quiche and fluffy, lump-free mashed potato.
And curries with coconut milk, they like that. They probably hadn't had that before because I brought ground spices with me, Indian spices, and I think they had only had peas. So it was a different flavour.
They are exceptional. I'm having to go on a diet now because their pastries are just to die for, and temptation is just too much for me.
The all-time station favourite, crumbed steak, had both Anita and Jens flummoxed.
I never heard of it, actually. Crumbed steak, yeah. Crumbed schnitzel and this sort of things, chicken breasts, but never a steak.
So what did the staff think?
I didn't think coming onto a station it would be this good, but it's pretty amazing the food that's coming out.
Jens cooks a mad T-bone. They're the best T-bones.
I love their quiche. Their quiche and their Anzac biscuits are by far my favourite.
I put on 2 kilos since I've been here, so that's a bonus.
During their stay, the couple found plenty of interest outside the kitchen.
Come on, Jukes.
For Jens, time with his girls was a highlight.
Feeding time. Okay, guys.
Late afternoon, he amused all with his chicken Pied Piper routine.
We got 15 out of 18 eggs. Enough for breakfast tomorrow morning.
The couple say they weren't bothered by the isolation or the heat. They didn't mind not having a TV, limited internet access, or getting a newspaper once a week.
We are both 74. I think there's a lot of scope for retired chefs to come out here and really enjoy this sort of life.
I could not think of a single solitary negative aspect about being here in Abingdon for the last 6 months. It's just been heaven.